Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, from the state, otherwise known as California. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That makes me the co-host with the most from the coast with the most here on the Rundown. 2A News, Conservative Views. Craig, how is your Thirsty Thursday going today?
It is going fine thus far, although I got to admit, I am a wee bit thirsty. My attempt to begin the weekend has utterly failed at this point, but I'm working on it. So tonight, I still got a few more hours of voluntary / involuntary employment, but then I'll get to hopefully kick in on the weekend.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I got to double check the schedule. The alarm went off. I think I got the Daily Bullet with the Second Amendment Foundation here at 6 today. So I'm trying not to imbibe too much before then. I don't want to.
That's right. I got to tell you, it is quite enjoyable to just be done on these Thursdays and then chill, relax, pour myself a little something, and turn on the Bullet and watch you have to work another hour.
Yeah, well, you see me on there. It's not like I'm working a lot. It's like what can I make fun of when that guy says it? So they bring me on for political comic relief.
Oh yeah. Yep, most definitely. Yeah, for those of you who don't know what show we're talking about, the Daily Bullet, which is hosted by the Second Amendment Foundation. It's funny. So Mike and I are both on every other week, but we're on the same week. So I usually am there Tuesday. He's usually there Thursday. So. You get the rundown. You get the rundown at the Second Amendment Foundation every other week.
Yeah, it's good. Like you said, we're not on there in the same week, which is good because it doesn't interrupt our spa time.
Right.
We take our spa weeks together.
Good stuff. How is your time going, or your preparation for Thirsty Thursday?
Listen, I am preparing Thirsty Thursday I just purchased all of my tickets for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the last week of Oktoberfest here. So,
wouldn't that make it Novemberfest?
Well, again, remember we had a hurricane, so
right.
Where you normally have one of the big ones, and it's usually the last week of September is when Oktoberfest is because it celebrates the coming harvest. But the river and the lake there are feeders off of the intercoastal. And it was flooding from all of the rain from the hurricane. So the downtown area was flooded there. So they've had to move it back. They've moved it back like 3 weeks, 3 times now. And it's finally to the point where the water has receded and we can have the event. So it looks good.
Okay. And I also forgot, you keep having Oktoberfest till there's no more beer.
What? Say it again. One more time?
You keep having Oktoberfest until there's no more Oktoberfest beer.
Well, that's my personal motto. Yes.
Oh, that's your personal motto. Okay. Well, there you
that's
go.
My personal. We continue to drink it until the keg is dry. But wait. You know what? Cut to single screen for a moment, Craig. I got something for you. Hold on. No, your single screen.
Oh, my single screen. Oh, okay. He's trying to create a surprise here for us, folks. I don't know. I'm kind of scared to put him back on the screen because Lord knows what Mike is going to come up with. Because we all know that he is capable of coming up with a doozy or two. But anyway, folks, let's go ahead and do this. While I got you here, let's talk about our sponsors. First of all, we have Hitman Industries. If you own an AR, there's a good chance that you already own one of their barrels. But hey, if you've got a new build or you want to upgrade your firearm, guess what? You can get a new barrel as well as other firearm parts there at Hitman Industries. Hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. Also, we have the California Republican Assembly. These are the folks who are fighting the fight behind enemy lines here in the great state of California. Trust me, this is the Republican wing of the Republican Party. So you want to make sure to check them out. And then if you're looking for any sort of good combat gear, whether it's opticals, whether it's cool outer gear, gloves, whatever it is you're looking for, you can find it at uscombatgear.com. That's right, uscombatgear.com. gmail.com. Okay, Mikey, it does appear to be ready. But before I go back to Mikey, just remember, these are the folks who bring us to you so that we can bring you to them. So make sure, follow the links to their websites in the description of this program, and make sure you tell them that the guys over at the Rundown sent you. All right, Mikey, what have you got for us?
Yeah, listen, even though Oktoberfest ends, it doesn't mean that I'm not ready to continue on with the tradition here at the house. So, and this is about a quarter of what I got. So, yeah, we got plenty. We're good. We're good to go here. We'll be good for a while. Oh.
All right, so just so that y'all know, just to be clear, what he is saying is Oktoberfest will continue into November there at Location Bravo.
Listen, Oktoberfest will. I've got enough of these where Oktoberfest will continue until next Oktoberfest. So
no,
we're good.
Novemberfest, Novemberfest, Decemberfest, New Year's Fest.
Exactly right. We will continue the march here. Continue the march.
Good stuff, Mike. Good stuff. Oh, by the way, folks, just in case you forgot, if you haven't already subscribed, please remember, like, share, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same. Tell them there's tons of places where you can either listen or watch the program. All you got to do, go to the rundown.us. That's the rundown.us, and you can find all the different ways that you can partake of the program. See, I made it even simpler for you. So, rundown.us. I don't care how you partake, just make sure that you partake.
There you go. Very good.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get into today's topics. All right, so the president, that's what you want to call him, he gave another primetime address. Now, this one at least was not a state-sponsored event. This was actually hosted by the DNC, but it was a primetime speech. And the focus of this speech was, well, let's just say it was about denigrating half the United States.
And tonight, President Biden issued a primetime address to ask voters to consider the threat to democracy when they head to the ballot box next week. The president singled out ultra-MAGA Republicans, calling them election disruptors, saying claims of a stolen election have fueled a dangerous rise of political violence. The speech comes days after an intruder broke into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's California home and attacked her husband last Friday.
We need to start looking out for each other again, seeing ourselves as we the people, not as entrenched enemies, lies of conspiracy and malice, lies repeated over and over to generate a cycle of anger, hate, vitriol, and even violence.
Republicans condemning the president's remarks tonight. Meanwhile, the president warning voters that hundreds of Republican candidates have questioned the integrity of American elections. He says he hopes voters remember that when they head to the polls next week.
So, you know, Mike, what got me the most about that is that he was up there, he was talking about lies, and we all know that Joe Biden has told more lies and things that have been disproven, made commitments that he has backed away from than probably any president in modern history.
Yeah, and again, but it's almost as if people excuse it because they're like, oh, he's just kind of old and senile. We know what he might have said that, but he didn't mean that. And, you know, the pass this guy gets for being senile is worse than him being senile to begin with, right? Like, he shouldn't be there. Oh, but we let him make mistakes because we understand he's not altogether there. It's pretty ridiculous. And listen, and the lies with the media concerning this Pelosi attack, right? You called it last week, and I was like, now there's no way they could turn this around on us. But look, you've got the president giving a speech there, and you have the video of the outside of the Pelosi residence there. In fact, Craig, I don't know if you could do this. Can you bring up that video and pause it right where we saw the glass doors outside?
Unfortunately, I cannot bring it up and pause it.
Okay, so folks, since they put it up there, this wasn't something we were going to hit on, but you saw the French doors all the way around there on the Pelosi residence. I want you to take a look at the glass outside the glass door. The glass is the broken glass is outside the glass door. And I've only got like 20 years in law enforcement, right? So I may not be the world's greatest detective. I might be the second greatest, but when you break the glass from the outside, the broken glass goes inside. not
Okay, wait. Here we go.
out.
Hold on. Wait. I think I can get it right there. Hold on. I got it. I got
Okay.
it. I got it.
All right, here.
So I had to pull it. I had to go to YouTube to pull it back up.
Okay, so there you go. You could see the broken glass door there, right in the middle, and all the glasses outside the residence. That's not what happens when you try to break into a residence. The glass goes inside. The force of the glass goes inside. So I don't know where they thought showing this picture was gonna justify what happened to Mr. Pelosi there, but that window was broken from the inside, folks. That's science right there.
Well, what gets me is that, but then keep in mind, this is also a homeless illegal immigrant. So he's in the country illegally, nudist with a BLM flag. And yet somehow this guy is an ultra MAGA right wing. Now, to be honest, he'd also had QAnon stuff and all that. The point is, this dude was a nut job, right?
Yes.
But they ignore the left-wing stuff, the stuff that would tie him to Democrats. All of that gets ignored in the news report. Yeah. All they tell you is, and all the president talks about is, well, he tries to tie it to, once again, the ultra MAGA. And the reason why he says now ultra MAGA is because he realized, well, MAGA, there's a lot of people who want to make America great again, but, I know, I'll make it even scarier. I'll call it ultra MAGA.
On the scale of MAGA, is ultra MAGA above or below uber MAGA?
I would put ultra MAGA above uber. Uber MAGA means, okay. I'm a little bit more than just MAGA, but ultra MAGA.
Right. Gotcha. No, I'm just curious because we used to at least you and I, Craig, prior to 10 years ago, Uber used to be a common word when you were describing something that was above and beyond.
Oh, yeah. So
now
you
can't say Uber at all because it's
I think there's MAGA, there's Uber MAGA, there's Super MAGA, and then there's Ultra MAGA, and then there's Mega MAGA.
Mega MAGA is the tops, I think. Yeah.
Mega MAGA is the ultimate.
What about Ultra Mega MAGA?
Ooh. Wow.
New level, folks. Let's see you.
I don't know if I could handle that much MAGA. I mean, that is like, painting yourself orange and getting a blonde wig. And
I was just going to say, you have to dye your hair for that one. Yeah,
you do. You have to dye your hair for that one.
Yep. Very
but
good. Listen, I am seeing some of the comments here about, we're talking about MAGA and Mike's wearing the Boogaloo shirt. This is not a Boogaloo shirt. This is a Magnum PI shirt.
Right.
This is not the.
That is not. He's trying to say he's Magnum Mike instead of Boogaloo Mike.
The original Tom Selleck Magnum PI shirt. And I gotta say, make the shirt look good.
You know what you need though, man. You know what you need to make it complete? A perm.
He didn't have a perm. He had the whole
curly swath hair. Yeah, that was a perm.
He had the wavy thing going. I do have the sunglasses. I don't have them with me. They're inside. I have the sunglasses. Remember the sunglasses with the little leather sides on them?
Yeah.
And hook around the ear? I have those. Yeah.
I'll bet you do.
Yep. Got my VMO2 hat. Got that also. Yep.
Oh, gotta love it. Moving on to the next topic. More news. Interesting news from the White House. So Biden is now warned. There's not just, how do I do this? There's not just this thing about MAGA violence, but now they're also talking about gun violence. And so the White House, in a late night statement, decided to issue a statement talking about how they're going to push for more gun control. They're saying basically that Americans are scared by recent gun violence. And what is interesting about this to me, Mike, is that once again, it's how they don't get it. They're focused on gun violence when the truth is that people are worried about violence. And you look at the videos that are all over the place, the ones where you have people being pushed onto the subway tracks or being chased down and beaten, or being carjacked, people running out of stores with a bunch of stuff in their hands. People are just upset and angry about crime in general, and for some reason, rather than blame criminals, they're going to blame guns for all of the crime that is taking place.
Yeah, you notice how, Craig, they don't talk about, well, this week they have, I guess, hammer violence, right? Or car violence, or baseball bat violence, or fist violence, right? All the fist violence that's out there. It's people violence, folks. It's criminal violence. The gun is just a tool like anything else. And folks, you know this. But this is what you've got to reiterate to these idiots out there. When, listen, I didn't even know the president was on TV yesterday because I just, I live in a world without him, right? Or try to anyway. This is a last ditch effort, Craig, right? They see how the polls are going. They know what's going on. The governor's race in Oregon looks like it's going to slide red. Okay. They're going to lose. Look, Craig, they're going to lose in places they don't even have elections. That's how bad it's going to be for him this year. And his poll last night on, guns. He I guess he did abortion last week, so he's got to do guns this week. They're trying to pull out anything they can to get somebody to come out to vote that's been living in a cave. Listen, he did he ran it through Congress 2-3 months ago, his gun violence bill, which was nothing really. When you read it, it's, if you have a program, we'll give you money towards programs. There was no legislation, no enforcement, no anything in it. It was in name alone to say, look what we did. We did something. And now he's talking about he wants to pass more gun reforms. Well, guess what, buddy? You got about 6 days, right? And it ain't going to happen.
Well, you're right, because his goal, number one, is to just try and move people on stuff that he says he's going to do should Democrats maintain control of Congress. But the fact is, they've had control for 2 years, and he's done absolutely nothing except spend America into the poorhouse, or at least into inflation house.
Yes.
The thing is, look, Mr. President, no one likes you. There's a reason why you're going to Chicago, right? Because only the dead will vote for you. Right? Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody wants you. Nobody who is in a consequential race wants you anywhere near them, except for Mr. Fetterman, who, by the way, is probably one of the few people who you can actually speak better than.
Yeah, the two of them, I like to see them together because you can see all the nonverbal communication. They're like they just grunt at each other. Yeah, Chicago, Craig, where not only the dead vote for him, but they make more dead than anybody else does on a daily basis. So,
well, there you go. See, folks, that there be how it be. Anyway, the main thing that I wanted to make sure to communicate to y'all folks on this particular thing is that this has nothing to do with everything to do with the upcoming election and nothing to do with what he's actually done or will do. Because let's be real, Republicans are going to take both houses. They are. They're going to expand their majority in the number of state houses that they run and own. People are mad at Democrats. I'm sorry, but you guys blew it.
Yeah, and they're going to flip a couple of governor's offices as well, governor mansions. So, yeah. Yep, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Now, moving on to the next topic. So we have here in California, we have a sheriff who's been, she's been sheriff for five terms, which means basically she's been the sheriff for about 20 years. And she is currently up on corruption charges. And it's appearing that her trial is not going very well. And she's actually scheduled to be she's not running for re-election. So her term of office is going to be up here by the end of this year. But it appears that her trial is not going very well. So she has decided ahead of time that, she is going to be resigning because there's a really good chance. I think she's trying to work something out in terms of a plea deal. This is what I think. I do not know this to be the case, but she basically wound up resigning. Now, the reason why this is a story in particular for us is one of the things that she is accused of doing, and I'm pretty sure she did, was selling access to concealed carry permits in California, in particular, where she is sheriff in in San Jose, Santa Clara County, which is where you'll also find San Jose. This is the South Bay area. So this is like Silicon Valley, San Jose, south of San Francisco, where all the high rich techies are at. In any case, she basically sold access, whether it was for personal gifts or for things for the department. She sold access to people to allow them to get concealed carry permits while at the same time denying law-abiding citizens from being able to get concealed carry permits. So, and she's been doing this for over 20 years.
Craig, yeah, listen, and that's one of the reasons for term limits, including things like sheriff out there. Whereas you get many a good sheriffs that'll stick around and be great, but then you also end up with this, and it happens over time. Over time, you might start out great on daily, but by the time you're in your 19th and 20th year, you don't even know what's going on around you. Craig, the interesting part about this, and we've looked at this story before when she first got indicted, if you recall, that she was facing really no penalty. Now it's the corruption charge. I don't know if this is just Santa Clara County or all of California, that this sheriff and any other county-wide officials, if they were found guilty of these corruption charges, they just basically faced censure. Now it's a regular jury and it's a regular courtroom, but the only punishment allowed under law is, okay, we found that you're guilty, so don't do that again. Is all they could give her. So I guess like you said, it was not looking good. And rather than be somebody found guilty of corruption, she resigned from office. Now, again, she wasn't facing any jail. She wasn't facing any fines or anything like that. But the outward appearance of a sheriff that's been found guilty of corruption is not something you want, for a sheriff. So she said, hey, you know what? I'm out of here. See you guys later.
Well, I'm curious if what they allowed her to keep in terms of her pension and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm wondering. So they're now dropping the charges, or they're not going through with it, or are they still waiting on the verdict?
Still unsure. So they've said that she has said she's resigned. Mm-hmm. Now it's up to the prosecution to decide. Was that enough? Did that meet the plea agreement? We'll drop charges if you resign. Don't know. So at this point, all we know is she has resigned, and we don't know if the trial is resumed or not.
So she quit a couple of months early, and she's going to get away with all of the with basically she's going to get away with corruption. Now, I know down in L.A. we had Lee Baca, who was a sheriff down there, who was guilty of doing the same exact thing. He actually got jail time.
Well, Lee, they charged with the criminal offenses like the theft. If you recall. With felony theft and grand theft. Her, they've charged with public corruption. And that public corruption on that state level in that county, again, their standards there say there's no jail time involved. It's just a matter of being censured for it.
Interesting stuff. Well, I am just glad to see that once again that sheriffs are learning, or people who would trade on the constitutional rights of others. I'm glad to see that they are being held accountable. Because ultimately, that's what this comes down to: is she basically is taking what should be a right and treating it like it is a privilege, and then selling it.
Well, again, that's what happens to the liberal elite, right? We know that's what it is. How many times we got to see that with renting out the White House bedroom or access or pay for play or whatever it is that happened with the Democrats over the past bunch of years. They believe it's one of their rights as the American royalty to do such.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right, talking about handing stuff out and utilizing something that's supposed to be non-political and using it for political means. Here we have an example of a 4-star general. Here we have an example there at the highest levels. Here we have the example of a 4-star general who was, Mike, you know a little bit more about this issue than I do. So why don't we go ahead and have you talk about this particular one?
Sure. One of the 4-star generals, or excuse me, he was a 3-star general, Lieutenant General, General Piat, was up for, he was nominated for and was looking for his sign off on promotion to the 4-star level, the highest rank in the military currently. That also has to go through Senate, and they have to approve it as well. They approve all of the general promotions, and that's mostly based on just allocation and making sure there's not more than the amount of generals allowed under code, under law. So no one can recall. I know they're doing research on it, trying to figure out the last time a White House denied and reached out and denied the promotion to that 4-star rank. General Piet's got a 40-year active duty military career. So I want you to do that math in your head. And he's been involved in every conflict and every peacetime, humanitarian mission that you can think of. All the new plans and redesigns for the Army, force structure, he's been involved in. Well, his name was up for the nomination to 4th star. Now, Craig, he had the current senior Army leader, the 4-star general, the senior top military uniform official recommended him. The Secretary of the Army recommended him. The Secretary of Defense recommended him. All right. So these are the top 3 leaders in the military, in the U.S. Army. But the White House said no, because they believe that General Piet had something to do with the delay of the National Guard troops on January 6th. So again, we're seeing a 40-year military man's career he's basically been sent to retirement now. He didn't get his promotion, so he's basically going to be forced to retire. Well deserved, by the way, 40 years in the military. But because he was the guy on the other end of a phone call on January 6th when they called and requested the National Guard. And you know what he did? He has a specific set, Craig, of instructions to follow given to him by the Department of the Army, the Department of Defense, and the White House approves all of these plans. That says we don't call the military to take up arms against civilians. First off, that's called posse comitatus, right? Without like war type efforts. Okay.
Right.
Now, the Democrats, Craig, can talk as much as they want about the Republicans and the Boogaloo Boys and whoever it is went in there and it was an insurrection and everything else. And we've told you here before, listen, if this was an insurrection, we'd still be there. All right. A couple thousand people, none of which were armed, doing a protest and a tour. What is it? Tourism's not a crime. That's what I've heard, describing what happened on January 6th. If this was real, Craig, I would say this right flat out. If this was real, if this was an insurrection, this would have ended on January 6th. Right?
Right.
If you want to take a civilian standing body, you do so by not going on a tour and taking souvenirs. Right?
Now Mike, correct me if I'm wrong.
It did not happen.
Sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I bring this up, Craig.
Wait, hold on. Let me just make this one point real quick. You're not saying that there was not violence that day or people didn't step over the line. You're saying it didn't rise to the level of an insurrection.
It was not an insurrection. There may have been protesters there that might have gone too far.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have had protesters there that broke into an office. You might have had protesters there that followed other people in the crowd. There was even a couple of people that got handy with one of the cops. But this was not an insurrection, folks. And we I think we all understand that. This was some angry people, but nothing like the angry people we've seen throughout the rest of the nation the previous 2 years, right? That's right. Okay. Now, Craig, this general's rules say, I do not deploy forces against American citizens unless there is violence. I'm going in to step in to stop the violence.
Right.
The military would have come in, Craig. Here's the mission of the military, folks, in case you don't know: to close with and destroy the enemy by fire and maneuver. All right? That last part says we're here to kill you. That's what
kill people and break things. That's what the military does.
Yeah. You don't send the military in to stand on the police line during a protest. All right.
And those, by the way, were his exact words almost.
Right. You could bring the National Guard in, right? And DC has their National Guard, and they have to get permission through the Pentagon, but there's a whole level and steps of process. And this general, this is what he said. Hey, checking the criteria here on the list. Hold on here. We got A, B, and C. You haven't met any A, B, and C, so I don't recommend. That's what he did. And then that went forward. and his boss said, "Don't recommend. It does not meet the criteria that we've worked 225 years to keep from having our soldiers walk down the street and pistol and rifle butt people for protesting."
Well, and if the Speaker of the House had done her job, if the mayor of D.C. had done their job and allowed National Guard troops to be deployed prior to January 6th, because the president, well, the then president, Donald Trump, authorized it. So there was no reason why they couldn't. They said they didn't want it. So why do you blame this guy? Because he's like, yeah, no, we're not going to send military troops in per our guidelines.
You're right. Now, like, again, it was authorized ahead of time. If the National had Guard there ahead of time, Craig, they could have had their little additional training and crowd control, because the Guard has a separate mission, an additional mission than federal troops. And there's a big line between federal troops. And by the way, the D.C. National Guard is unlike any other state National Guard, because their Homeland Security mission is a federal mission, not a state mission. Craig, you're in California, I'm in Florida. If the California National Guard gets called out to help with wildfires, if Florida National Guard gets called out to help with hurricanes, they do that under their state mission and state authorization. The DC Guard doesn't have that. They immediately go as federal troops. Federal troops cannot take up arms against U.S. citizens. It's in our doctrine. It's posse comitatus. You cannot do that. And that's to prevent the government from using the military to commit coups. There's a huge history on that. And again, it was pre-authorized. If they had done it ahead of time, those guys could have been there and helped with crowd control. When they were called, they were being called to get out the rifles and bayonets. It's time to kill protesters. That's what they were being called for. And the general said, "Nope, doesn't meet the criteria. Sorry about your luck."
And for that, he does not get his promotion. The White House is keeping him from getting his promotion.
Yep, he's not getting his promotion because he followed the rules.
Didn't even follow Orange Man, just follow the rules.
No, correct.
Well, but the problem was the rules said go beat up and kill people who like Orange Man, and he said no.
No, that wasn't the rules. That was the request. And
I'm sorry. You're right. That was the request. That was the request.
Yeah.
So he said no. That was the request, and he said no.
Yep.
Anyway, gotta love the left. Gotta love the left. And that takes us to our parting shot. In the spirit of the speech that was recently given, yesterday by our president, I thought you guys would like to meet Bidenocchio, right? For those of you who are watching it, who are listening, it's a cartoon with Joe Biden, and it's got him with his long nose and all of the list of lies that he told. Like, I will be honest with you, as I've always promised. There was no vaccine when I took office. You don't need to get COVID if you get the jab. You won't get COVID if you get the jab. Inflation will be transitory. Our economy is strong as hell. I never told migrants to come to America. Build Back Better will cost $0. I never talked to my son about his business. High gas prices are Putin's fault. Gas was $5 a gallon when I took office. He also forgot how he went to all 54 states. Of course, that nose isn't long enough for all of those lies.
That's a honker right there. That's a honker.
That is a honker. Now, for our next one, you guys are going to love this. AOC decided that, first of all, Elon Musk took over Twitter, and he proposed the idea of get people with the blue check mark. Those are usually the liberals that somehow get approved as, okay, these are good people by Twitter. He decided, well, why not charge for that verification process? Why not charge them $8 a month? Well, AOC, Alex the bartender, otherwise known here, decided that she was going to comment on it. And, Elon Musk replied. So here, looking at the tweet, it says, she basically says, LMAO at a billionaire earnestly trying to sell people on the idea that, quote, free speech, unquote, is actually an $8 a month subscription plan. And then Elon replied, your feedback is appreciated. Now pay $8.
Yep.
Which
Notice she
leads us
doesn't have
to
the
our
check mark
final
anymore.
parting shot. Things that are owned by Elon Musk. You want to describe this one for our listeners?
Yes, we have Tesla, right? We have Twitter, we have SpaceX, and then we have AOC.
She got owned.
She got owned.
She got owned. Okay. Well, look, we're pushing this time, man. We're doing pretty good. I'm enjoying this conversation too much, but it is nonetheless time to go. So before we do that, we have to give another shout out to our sponsors.
That's it. Let's say good day to our friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net, hitmanindustries.net. If you need an AR barrel and a rifle or pistol caliber, make sure you reach out to hitmanindustries.net. Let's also say hello to our good friends at the California Republican Assembly. What do we got? 4 or 5 days left, Greg? I lose count. So reach out to our good friends at the California Republican Assembly and make sure you hook up with them, find out who you need to be voting for in California, and then maybe help them help you. You know what I mean? And then we have our good friends over at uscombatgear.com. Get all your tactical gear that you need. uscombatgear.com. And this entire segment, Craig, of sponsors has been brought to you by Oktoberfest. So enjoy your last Oktoberfest weekend here with the rundown.
I am sure you will enjoy our last Oktoberfest weekend.
I think I will. Thank you, sir.
Folks, thank you so much. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. By the way, don't forget, visit our sponsors. Let them know the guys over at the Rundown sent you. We'll be back tomorrow on Feedback Friday, so we hope that y'all will enjoy the evening. And don't get in too much trouble, Mike. We'll see you tomorrow.